Introducing Association of Muslim Professionals, AMP. Association of Muslim Professionals is a non-profit organization, and among many other activities, we endeavor to promote employment and knowledge in our society. These are a few of our flagship projects: skill development lectures, AMP job fairs, employability training programs, AMP employment assistance cell, AMP job drives. Employment assistance cell. We all are witnessing AMP's success as one of the most admirable national level NGOs striving for 3 E's: education, employment, and empowerment. Our major EAC activities include job fairs, job drives, employability training programs, skill training company tie-ups, candidate mobilization for skill development courses. Job fairs. Job fair is one of the flagship projects of AMP, and we have successfully organized 43 job fairs till date. Every job fair has participation of minimum 50 companies and 2000 plus candidates. AMP has organized job fairs in the past in collaboration with Thane Police, Aurangabad Police, West Bengal Minority Finance Development Corporation, Andhra Pradesh State Minorities Finance Corporation, and other reputed NGOs. These government organizations and NGOs collaborate with AMP as local partners and take care of the local ground promotions in the job fair arrangements. AMP invites corporates like TCS, Asian Paints, Reliance Group, Cafe Coffee Day, McDonald's, Team Lease, Tech Mahindra, and other reputed corporates. These are few of our snapshots of our past job fairs. Job drives. Job drives are similar to job fairs but are organized on a much smaller scale. In a job drive, we typically invite only up to 2 to 3 corporates who have specific openings. We conduct job drives every week throughout India in collaboration with other consultancies, NGOs, and with the help of our chapters. These are few of our snapshots and images of our past job drives. Employability training programs. AMP's employability training program, or ATP, has been developed to assist job seekers find the right job at the right place at the right time and to become the right fit in a present day modern organization. Our ATP trainers are seasoned professionals who have in-depth understanding of employability training and committed to investing their valuable time, resources, and knowledge in grooming the candidates. We team up with colleges in different cities to conduct ATPs. These are few of our snapshots of our past ATP programs in colleges. We also do tie up with skill training companies like Tata Trust, Whirlpool, Tech Mahindra Foundation. We have also arranged skill training melas. We have mobilized students for skill development courses like AC technician, mobile repair technicians, solar engineering, and other Skill India Mission programs. This is a snapshot of our past training program, skill training program. Our achievements till now: 43 plus job fairs, 9 online job fairs, 275 plus job drives, 6 online job drives, 220 plus ETPs, 17 online ETPs. So these online programs are done during this pandemic. We have done these programs online. AMP has recently, so this is a new initiative of AMP. AMP has recently launched indiazakat.com, theindiamentors.com, and empowerjobs.com. Indiazakat.com is India's first Zakat crowdfunding platform floated by AMP with a view to bring the Zakat seekers and Zakat givers on a unified platform. Its objective is to undertake its operations purely with the intent of bringing socio-economic transformation in the lives of the people without seeking to generate any commercial surplus. TheIndiaMentors.com strives for the development of a vibrant and progressive student community in India. To achieve this, AMP tries to reach out to every needy student of India through the medium of education, career guidance, and employment assistance. The IndiaMentors.com envisions a fully educated and empowered student community where no one is left out of the wheels of progress and development due to lack of awareness and guidance. EmpowerJobs.com, connecting right talent with right opportunity. EmpowerJobs.com was launched on 6th December 2020, AMP Foundation Day. It is a unique job portal with comprehensive offerings introduced by AMP for job seekers, especially those hit by COVID pandemic. Thank you, everyone. I will now introduce our speaker today, Professor Rumana Siddiqui. Professor Rumana Siddiqui has done her master's in English and history with a B.Ed. She is a proficient motivational speaker with an elaborate work experience of about 35 years in various industries. She is an ex-Vibgyor faculty and has served K.Y. Patil College as an English professor for significant number of years. She has exhibited her vibrant skills in students' psychological counseling as well as career counseling for about 5 years. She has seen all hues and shades of life and added many feathers to her cap. Since 5 years, she is completely dedicated to the IGCSE London Board of Studies. Professor Rumana Siddiqui, I would now request you to please take over the session. Thank you very much.
Assalamu alaikum everyone. Good evening.
Walaikum assalam.
Students, I would prefer, hi Sabah. I would prefer everyone to be in an interactive session because interactions will make me understand whether I'm audible, whether I'm clear enough and very lucid to understand or not. So it's a request. As far as possible, whenever at least a question is asked, you can get yourself off the mute and answer a question because I would need a little bit of interaction in between, as in when I'm going through the, the PPTs and the presentations. So I would obviously understand my own presentation skills better if I'm able to interact with you, as well as understand if you all are still with me or not, because sometimes the internet may conk off and I may be the only one talking to myself. So I wouldn't like to get into that situation. So I would request everyone to please at least send a palm or raise a hand or something of that sort, which will actually help me to take the PPT further better. All right, the presentation. Now, as you all can see the screen, the first page that says is first things first. So first things first is the page that you can see on your screen. Am I right? Correct. So now this page, if you see, it says the first page here is, all right. Now that's the second page. Good. So first things first, your resume. Now, obviously our resume is the first thing that will be seen, that will stand as an identity for us in front of the interviewers, even before we are in front of them. So if you're sending a resume and a cover letter without your physical presence, then it is the first thing that is going to form your impression. So it might as well be the first and the best impression that you're forming on the employers. So coming to that topic, employers consider resumes and cover letters that are flawless in format, grammar, and spelling. Now, when I see this point, most of the time I have seen my students and my, many of the times that I have kind of working with AMP as well. When I'm trying to get someone into a job, it gets very difficult with, the basic spelling errors that are there, which are very, very basic, and it gives a very, very, very bad impression about you if you have the basic English wrong. So first of all, the grammar and spelling needs to be correct. The format, yes, can be updated time to time because every few years the formatting of the resume changes and the cover letter remains the same, of course. Since years I've seen that. Now, resume should also be tailored to the specific job for which you have applied and should emphasize relevant work experience and academic qualifications. Basically, what you mean to say here is when you are applying, now in the past, you may have done an A, B, C job, but right now you're applying for a D job. Now, when you're applying for a D job, be specific with your resume. Only, make sure that your resume has only and only that D job experiences and the qualifications that are required. Too much beating around the bush may lead you to lose the job because the interviewer may not understand your background, where you come from, if you're giving too much of information about yourself. So if you're having an elaborate work experience in different fields or different, job genres, you need to specifically design your resume and go with a mindset set to speak in the interview only about that particular job that you are applying right now for, and not all the past experiences as well. Yes, in a gist, you can just summarize and tell them that for so many X number of years, I have been even into so and so industry, or XYZ industry. But too much of elaboration is a no-no. Among those hundreds of applicants for a job, if your resume and cover letter are strong enough, it will prompt a potential employer to invite you for an interview. As mentioned earlier, if you're sending your interview, if you're sending your resume before you even walk in for the interview, then obviously your resume is your identity. So might as well your identity card be a very, very, very potential, identity of yours. So you need to make sure that your resume is, and your cover letter is really presentable and very strong enough to display your experiences and qualification and your subject expertise. All right. Going to the next slide, it says types of interviews. The next slide, please. Types of interviews. Now, coming to the kind of interviews we have, there are a number of interviews, kinds of interviews that are conducted. It's one. The first one is one-to-one, which is obviously, as the word says, one-to-one. You will be sitting one as an interviewee in front of another interviewer. All right. The second type, here you are having a one-to-one conversation. You need to be definitely not very, it cannot be a heart-to-heart conversation at the first meeting. It has to be a very diplomatic and a very politically correct kind of an presentation of your own skills and everything, because you'll definitely become very vulnerable if you are opening up a little too much when not necessary. All right. The screening is basically nothing but when you are, before even you're called for an interview, you are screen tested when you're just talking on the call, or you are basically asked a few questions, and you are asked to ask a few questions, fire a few questions to the interviewer on call. So that is a screening. And after that, it is decided whether you'll be really called in for an interview or walk-in interview or not. So obviously, that's the second kind of an interview, or the screening, which generally doesn't take place. But in these days of lockdown, it may happen more frequently, because people would not really want to meet you, meet 10 people and select one. They would rather shortlist about 2 or 3 people, and then they would call that one person for an interview. So instead of calling directly everyone, they would not gather crowd. They would actually go in for a screening, and then if you're selected on the basis of your screening test, you will be called for an interview or rejected. All right. So the next is the phone call, or which is generally these days in the lockdown, you may have gone through some interviews. You have seen that most of the call centers, BPOs and all, since they have gone off, online, they are taking interviews also on the phone call itself. They would take your reading skills, they would take your speaking skills, and they would take your, impromptu rounds, everything on over the call. So they're not even meeting you, and just taking all the interview rounds on the phone call itself. Right now, panel interview is nothing but wherein a huge, or probably in 2, 3, or 10, depends upon the number, depends upon the hierarchy of the company, or the size of the company that you are applying for. So when the panel of judges are sitting in front of you, they will be shooting one by one questions at you, and you are expected to be answering that. So sometimes you may have only the HR sitting together, or you may have the HR to the ops to the admin, everyone sitting together, and one by one they would keep taking your rounds of interview for ops, and then for the admin and for the HR. So your personal interviews will be taken first as a first round. The second round will be with another person. So in one interview itself, you are sitting with many. So you do not have to go through different rounds of interviews, and it is saving time for you as well as the interviewers. All right. Now the group interview is nothing but, this is mostly like a campus selection or something, wherein a huge group of employees are, interviewees is sitting across, and the interviewer are either it's one person or many sitting across a group, and the entire group is taken in interviews simultaneously. It's not an individual interview, but it's an entire group that is interviewed at the same time. Now, task or technical. Now, task or technical interview is generally applicable when you are going in for a, ITI or IIT or some engineering kind of job, which requires a lot of technical skills. So your technical expertise or your abilities to handle that particular task or technicality is gauged in this kind of an interview. Video and Skype, which now is happening more often, because most of the times when the employer is in another country, the company belongs to another country, and the employee who's applying for the job is belonging to another country. They do not want the people or the interviewees to go there and take an interview. So they do it through Skype or video calling. And it's almost like a face-to-face interview, wherein both are sitting opposite each other on a screen in a virtual manner, and then you are giving the rounds of interview. Now, there is a tip for this. When you are invited for an interview, be sure to ask what type of interview you will have with the potential employer. So if any of these kind of interviews are there, you better know it beforehand. If you are aware of what kind of interview you're going to face, it'll be definitely a very good thing for you to crack the interview. It will become easier for you to crack the interview. All right. Now, next slide is pre-interview preparations. Now, I would just enlarge this, zoom in the slide so that you're able to read the captions and everything well. I hope that's visible enough. It's a little, I'm sure it is legible and visible now. I've zoomed in. Now, pre-interview preparations. Now, what goes in before the interview? Obviously, any presentation, any interviews, any meetings require a lot of preparation beforehand. So the more you practice and prepare, the better there are chances of you appearing well and cracking it successfully, correct? So you need to, what you need to first and foremost do is research the organization. If you're applying for Tata, like TCS, so you might as well do something like a research, a basic grassroots level homework from before you appear for the interview, or even think of going to the first round. Now, how does this help? Basically, if you are having now for an, if you're just going in for a BPO interview, for an example. So there are many BPOs. Now, every BPO has a different work culture. It has a different salary pattern. It has a different, environment. And some of the call centers may be like, I'm sorry to use the word, but they may work like an ganne ka machine, where they are actually just juicing out the entire capacity and capability of the employers in just in just about 2 to 3 years, and the employees are not in a very good health situation and conditions. And obviously, in such kind of BPOs, every 2, 3 years, 4 years, 5 years maximum, there would be a complete shuffle of employees, which will obviously show you that this is not the kind of place that I would like to be. So if you do a little bit of research, you would understand which amongst the 10 BPOs is definitely a better paymaster, but yet not the juicing out machine. They're not really taking you as a work machine, but they're treating you as human. They're treating you as an employee. They have some kind of a connect. So you would generally see people in good companies working for 15, 20 years. You would see employees working there for more than 8 to 10 years. But a pattern wherein a company shows that every 2 years, 3 years, the employees change, that itself shows that the machine, the company is not the right choice for you. So you better do a little bit of research of the organization. This will not only help you to decide better as to which company you want to join in, but also it will help you to maintain your own, integrity in the long run and serve better the company. And the company also ends up being very happy with you. And of course, when employee and employer both are happy, the entire, it's a different ball game altogether. Everybody sees progress. It's like a win-win situation both ways. All right. So corporate values, product, service offerings, and latest news. These are the things. Now, supposing you're applying for a company and you have already not read the news that has just come latest about it, and that the company is sinking or probably declaring a bankruptcy, and you just join in and within 2 months, the company goes bankrupt. It declares itself completely bankrupt. Then what? So all such information like corporate values, which I just mentioned, that whether they're treating the employees really like human beings or work machines. Then products, whether the product is really genuine or no, because if you are into selling a product or propagating a product, you might as well do it in a genuine product and not in something which is, the base needs to be basically good. If the product is good and based on a humanitarian grounds, but naturally you will have the joy of selling it to someone confidently without any hesitation. Otherwise, at the back of your mind, you may always have that I'm cheating on people and the product is not really up to the mark. And I'm not really doing a fair game for my own job. Just for my job, I'm really, kind of cheating people and earning money. So the internal satisfaction that is there within you will not be as high as when you've already done these kind of research and applied for a job. Service offerings, of course, what I just mentioned earlier. Now, who are you meeting? Now, if you know who are you meeting directly, because if you may meet someone at a lower level and then probably an HR or a personal manager who's not really the final decision maker. Okay, you definitely need to make a good impression on anybody you meet from the employees panel. But at the same time, if you're really meeting the CEO directly, okay, and you have undermined, you did not know whether he's a CEO or whatever, you may not be able to, create a very good image in front of the CEO. Like, for instance, I'll share a very silly thing that I did as a college student. When I was working in college, I was giving interview rounds and all. And what happened is, those days, somehow it happened that I was not really contented with the kind of companies I was applying for. So I would go very easily getting selected, and then I would decide to drop out. So I had given rounds and rounds of interviews, and I got selected in each and every company wherever I appeared for the interview. However, I was not, as I said, that I was not very happy after later on when I came to know that the salary package is not what I expected, or the ambience or probably the work culture is not what I was looking out for, or the timing, suddenly they had promised something before the interview and after the interview they happened to change the timing and shift timings and all. So I was a college student and studies were important. So what happened once is, I went to a company, I still remember that, and we went through about 7-8 different people without telling us who's who. All right. Now, 7-8 different people are asking the same question. Tell me something about yourself. Tell me something about yourself. Tell me something about yourself. And I was just a FYBA student. I mean, I was, 12, 15, 16, 18 years, 17 years or something, 17 odd years. And now, finally, when I happened to lose my patience a little bit, it showed on my face. It showed on my, answering or responses. So when 7 different people had already asked me, tell me something about yourself, I was, by the end of 4.5 hours, I was so exasperated, waiting in the long queues, different round of interviews, meeting 7 different people asking the same questions about myself. And, everything's mentioned on the resume. I was like, why do you need to ask everything when it's all there on the resume types, So I did not, of course, respond very curtly, but I just happened to say, I gave a very subtle, though, sign language, which showed my exasperation or the negative response. And that happened to be the CEO of the company. He was the CEO of the company. And that was probably the first and the last impression that I was actually supposed to create on the best of the top-notch level interviewer. But I happened to give probably a little bit of negative, image there. So I still remember that sometimes if you don't know whom you're meeting, whom are you talking to, you would not know how to present yourself. So you either give your best at each and every shot, or you might as well know whom you're meeting and then act accordingly. All right. Now ask for further advice. Reach out to your network and recruiter for further advice. Now this is involved. I hope I'm being very clear. I'm not being a little too fast. Am I clear to understand? Are people with me?
Yes.
Okay. If there is any kind of a, difficulty, please do let me know. All right. So ask for further advice. This particular point is applicable when you're applying through a recruiter or an placement agency or a bureau. So that is basically reach out to your network and recruiter for further advice. So you take a little bit of advice as to how the company is, or what is the company all about. Whom are you meeting as an for an interview? Whom are you seeing? Who's going to be across the who's going to be across the table taking your interview? So all these information you can either ask your placement or the recruiter if you are going through a recruiter. Now be on time, plan for traffic, and don't get late. Now this is definitely a very, very, very strong point when it comes to Bombay kind of a traffic, because even if you keep a buffer of half an hour, sometimes the traffic takes you by a surprise of about 45 minutes and 50 minutes. So even if you've kept a buffer of travel time which is like 10 minutes, and you say, okay, 10 minutes is the travel time, I may take about 30 minutes at the most traffic hoga. But sometimes it gets just on the other side, and you may reach in about 45 minutes, 50 minutes. So please make sure that you're really keeping a good buffer time, a backup time, and not getting late at all, because that obviously will give a lot of bad or the correct impression depending upon your arrival. Because if nobody would like to be in authority and wait for somebody who's coming for seeking a job. So, but naturally the ego starts playing here. The corporate ego is definitely very wrong thing to play around with. So plan ahead. Prepare 2 to 3. Sorry, I missed the middle point. I'll go this way. I went the other way around. Sorry for that. Dress for the occasion. Now follow office dress code of formals. Now, but naturally, some people have this sudden stifles of wearing a keto or a open shoe or something like a slip-on and just going for an interview. That's absolutely a no-no. When you're going for an interview, the dress code, the shoes, everything matters a lot. So you need to be decently dressed. Your clothes need to be really well ironed and pressed before you appear for an interview. And the shoes, obviously, they say that a person's caliber is judged by the shoes more than the face. There was an old time saying wherein people used to say that people are gauged and judged according to the shoes they wear and the way they carry their shoes. Sometimes you may have a very nice shoes, but you've probably gone for a walk and you've dirtied it. So a polished shoes is what you need to go with. You can't go with a sand caught, a sand pot or a little bit of dust caught shoe. So your shoes to clothing to everything needs to be very, very formal. The dress code, first of all, needs to be formal. And then, of course, the way the dress code is, the pressing of the clothes and the fit of your clothes. You can't be going into a dress which is not fitting yourself well. And it looks like as if you just asked someone, borrowed the dress from someone and worn and gone. Even if you've done that, you better wear something which is fitting you more well than the unfit ones. Okay. All right. So prepare 2 to 3 questions to ask the interviewer. Now, questioning the interviewer is one thing which we feel, wouldn't it get a little awkward to ask questions to the interviewer? No, it won't, because your basically your judgment skills or your decision making skills are sometimes gauged and calculated by the interviewers on the basis of the kind of questions or the quality of questions you ask. So you prepare the questions. Don't go impromptu asking a question which may probably be a very pointless or a useless question. Go and make a very clear cut, very nice, and very basically hitting the nail at the right end. That is the kind of question you need to ask, not just because you're told to ask a question, you go and ask some question for the sake of it. No, you have to make your question well prepared in your mind before you go and shoot it out to the interviewer. Now, minimize distractions. The first and the foremost and the most biggest distraction that we have in our pockets itself is our mobile phones now, these days. And we generally tend to put it on a silent mode, wherein it is vibrating. The vibration will keep distracting you. Even a millisecond of distraction while a question is being shot at you may make you miss the question, or when you're answering, it may make you miss your point in answering it well. So you might as well keep your phone on silent as much as possible. First impression, smile and give a firm handshake. Firm handshake, I've seen mostly people, at very good post, but when they handshake, they just like two fingers or three fingers touch, or they would hardly touch your palm and they'll just part away. That's exactly not the way you're going to be shaking your hand. You're going to give a handshake. A handshake needs to be a very firm one, wherein you feel yes, you either give a good handshake or you don't. But if you're giving it, you might as well give it in a very firm and clearer manner, wherein both your hands are clasped. The opposite persons on your hand are clasped together, and your palm is touching the palm of the other person. There is no gap like this probably in between your palms. All right, if you can see my video as well, your palm needs to be touching the other person's palm. That's how you're supposed to be going ahead with a handshake. Can we go to the next slide, please? Thank you. Dress for success. The dress code here, it's Western. Now, we are definitely not in a Western country, so we wouldn't have these kind of dress codes, at least for the ladies. But whatever you're wearing, you need to wear a very culturally properly covered as well as very presentable kind of a dress code you need to carry yourself in. So professional dress requirements, coming to that point, conservative, dark suit or formals for men. So not flashy sky blues. And some people have this very vibgyor kind of a color code in their minds for wearing blazers. Blazers are meant to be very sober, very, it can be a beige color. A light color will not give you a bad impression. But yes, a dark color is, it somehow has a very better, it has a very better presentability than the light color. If you see this picture, I'm just zooming it up. The man in the black trouser and the blazer seems to look a little more presentable than the one in the beige color or the creamish color one that he's wearing. So if you see the dark colors forming a better impression, don't you feel so? Yes, no, maybe. Do you see the difference here? I'm trying to zoom it up and show you all the difference. For me, at least it looks definitely the darker one looks more presentable and appealing to the eye than the lighter shade, correct? So here, coming to the next topic, next sub point, sari or salwar suit, kameez for the women in India, of course. No visible body piercing. Now, if you have all the tattoos and all the body piercings, you have, some people have it at very visible places, like on your lips or your, center of your nose here, and sometimes on the eyebrows, under the eyebrows here, on your eyelids. No visible piercing to be seen and tattoos to be seen. That definitely doesn't speak very good about you, unless you're really going to an interview for a tattoo company or a tattoo parlor, or probably you are into a beautician's course or something like that, wherein you are into media line where people are into that kind of a fashion or something. Otherwise, it's definitely a no for a corporate interview. Now, polished closed toe dress shoe. Now, polished, which I already mentioned, that it needs to be cleaned and polished. Closed toe, not an open key toe or something. The shoes need to be, and the toe needs to be covered. It needs to be inside your shoe, not the toe visible out of the shoe. All right. Minimal jewelry. Now, for ladies, definitely a jewelry is spoken as a good thing to be adding a little more presentability. For gents, it is not. Gents, it may be a cufflink, a collar clip, or probably a wristwatch. Nothing like a jewelry. So for ladies also, when you're wearing jewelry, make sure that you're wearing very minimal jewelry, just a stud, probably a chain, or not even that, and a finger ring with a watch. So not really cladded with bracelets and necklaces and a lot of pendants and the jewelry up here, the ear completely pierced, and then all the jewelry up decorated there. No, definitely no. Conservative hairstyle, cut and style. Now, when you say conservative hairstyle, we don't really mean to tell you that you need to plait your hair only. What we mean to say is, these days there's a trend going on. You have these, navy cuts and military cuts where you are really shaven from the sides and you have like a camel, pane on top of your head in the center. I mean, all these kind of haircuts and hairstyles are definitely a no, 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 no for a corporate interview. So make sure no coloring hair colors, weird hair colors, wear weird haircuts, and weird hairstyles where you are probably tweezing too much and clipping too much. All those things are not necessary at all. Uh, they don't give a very good impression. They talk very negatively about you. No strong cologne or perfume. Now, the moment you enter a room, your perfume may be really good for you. You may be really fond of your perfume, but sometimes some people are not really comfortable with strong odors and fragrances. They may immediately get a headache the moment they smell something strong. So, if it is unfortunately a CEO and he is allergic to some kind of fragrances and all, then absolutely it's going to be a disaster at the first go itself. Even if it is not this case, the other way around, when you enter in a room, nobody wants to really, smell your fragrance. It's just meant for yourself so that you are deodorizing yourself and having a better presentability of not perspiring and, kind of when you're traveling too long and far. So it's basically to deodorize yourself rather than odorize others and the entire room. So it's not a room freshener or a room deodorant. So avoid that. All right. Well groomed. Well groomed, of course, when you do all these things, the grooming comes into picture already. Now, when you're sitting for any kind of a presentation or an interview, you need to make sure that you've combed your hair before entering. Especially it's a male, you're traveling from far, you have a helmet on, or probably you are blown by the wind. You can't be going with that kind of a look right into the room. You need to first brush up your hair or do something. Just go to the washroom, visit a washroom. Ladies, look up at your makeup, a little bit of touch up of lipstick or something. Maybe not really too much of a kind of a bridal makeup that these days people are into, but yes, a little bit of presentability of having a uh, an eye highlighter or a lip highlighter is all that you need. So conservative hem and necklines. Now necklines, especially for a lady, needs to be a very decent one. It can't be a very low neck or a very visible kind of a skin revealing outfits. So, but naturally, it doesn't uh, give a very good picture and an image. Now, pressed shirt or blouse. The sari, if you're wearing, your sari needs to be well pressed. And if the male is wearing a trouser or a shirt or whatever, it needs to be a very well pressed and ironed clothes. Now, dark socks, men, and pantyhose, women. Now, if you see this, basically the stockings. If you're wearing something short, you might as well cover your calf muscles and your lower legs with a stocking, which is also called a pantyhose, but definitely not a skin revealing short dress. So when you're in an interview, it basically needs to be like the air hostesses. If you see air hostesses, they are wearing dresses which are which are very short and things, but then they have most of their skin parts covered. So that's how you need to dress up yourself. All right, can we go to the next slide, please? How to shake hands. I have already given you a detailed idea about this, but we can just read through the slide so that it gives you a very clear-cut picture of how you need to do it. Smile and make eye contact. Now, smiling and making eye contact is one thing which actually makes you, take the opposite person very positively, as well as the opposite person takes you very positively and warmly. So when you are probably it's the first day of your, the interview may turn out to be your first day of joining that company. So when would you like to enter into somebody's house, or would you like somebody else entering your house without a smile on their face, or without even looking at you? They're just looking at your house and just barging in. No. So that exactly how it goes with us entering into a company or an interview room. So you smile, you do a nice warm eye contact, and when you're shaking hands, you have that smile in your eye contact with the person, not just for the sake of handshake, you're handshaking and you're looking at here and there. It completely talks very loose about you, right? So extend your hand. Your palm should touch the palm of the interviewer. So it should be in a grip, in a manner that it is actually holding the palm to palm kind of a grip is there. Okay. Now use a firm handshake. Adjust your grip to the other person's hand. If the person is not really shaking very hard, don't try to shake him up completely. You may end up actually, vibrating the person if the person is not all that um, strong in his handshake. So take a gauge of how strong or how good a grip the other person is giving you, and try to match the grip according to the other person's handshake and adjust your grip accordingly. All right. So sometimes it happens that a person is very loosely giving their hand in your hand and you're like shaking them up and they're like, oh my god, it's like a hurricane coming into the room. So please don't make them feel that way. You can uh, adjust it according to the other person's kind, you can say, type. Hold the handshake for 2 to 3 seconds, making a slight up and down pumping motion. When you say up and down, it means like this. So it's just 2 or 3 seconds, not go on shaking it for like 5, 10 times. No, just once, twice is also okay. At the most, 2 to 3 times. That's it. So generally, when you give a hand to somebody, they would themselves shake 1 and 2, twice at least. So get into that, not much more than that. Now, tip: carry a tissue or a handkerchief in your pocket. If your palms are sweaty, please do not wash their hands. They have already washed their hands and come to shake hand with you. So wipe your hand dry, wet wipe yourself, and then give a handshake. Please do not, it will definitely be a very strong put off point for you if you do not wipe your hand and give a handshake. All right. So with this, we go to the next slide. I hope everything is clear by now. Till now, whatever I've taught, nothing is ambiguous, nothing is confusing. Yes, no, maybe. Friends, students, I hope things are clear. All right.
Yes.
Thank you. Now, the next thing that we go on to body language. This is one of the most important and the basic thing that you can't miss at all. A complete no for missing it. Now, I'll tell you one thing. I remember one lady I was in undergrad that time, and there was a, post grad and a hotel management graduate coming from Swiss college. Okay. And when she sat for an interview, she went onto the ergonomic chair and she kept rolling like this on that chair. It was the kind of a rolling chair, So she kept rolling on it, shaking on it this way. The boss is sitting like this and taking an interview. It was a glass cabin, and we could see this lady's body language. It was such a sad and pathetic state of affair for us to watch it from out. We were wondering how did boss even tolerate that long, this particular employee. And fortunately or unfortunately, you can say, she was, because of her qualification and her work experience, she was definitely selected in that company. But she was always very well, badly known rather, for her body language and the way she carried herself. She would just sit on the armchair like this, and she would keep rocking the chair. She'd keep doing this, front and back, and she would keep shaking her foot and leg like this on the chair. So that's a very, very, very bad thing to do in an interview. Absolutely not acceptable. Not at all acceptable. Imagine an authority sitting in front of you, and you as an authority sitting in front of someone. You are, and probably you are not even just at a very big post. You're probably interviewing a maid. But when the maid comes and she is very restless, very all the time mobile, you're there touching this, touching that, or fidgeting, it doesn't give a good impression at all. You'll be like, what kind of a person is this? She's so restless. The very first impression on your mind about that person will be not at all a positive one. So make sure that you're not forming this kind of an impression on somebody else. So 67% of hiring managers cite lack of eye contact. So lack of eye contact, because we're so nervous at times that we don't feel like matching their eyes. That if we match our eyes with the other person, we may end up, showing our nervousness or probably start tremoring in ourselves. So because of that, we do not want to show our weakness. That's one reason why probably we may not really have an eye contact at all. When we're talking to someone, we're answering them, but we're like, now I cannot see you all on screen, but I'm still all the time talking to you all as if I'm having an eye contact with you all. I'm sure if you're able to see my face, you all are able to know that I'm actually looking at the screen almost every minute of my presentation. I'm not at all looking here, there, doing this, doing that, or something here, something there, probably not feeling easy with myself. So be comfortable, match eyes. The biggest mistake that candidates make is no eye contact. So eye contact is a must. When you're talking to someone, give that respect and gain that respect for yourself as well. All right. 26% of applicants in an interview get rejected because they fidget too much. So they are very fidgety. They are so nervous that they are not able to not express their nervousness. They are either playing with their own nails or the paper or something. They're folding that paper, doing something. Probably they have a pen in their hand and doing tuck, 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 opening the cap or doing it tick, 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 tick. I mean, this definitely shows, more than you're nervous, you're actually showing your nervousness much more than that. So definitely fidgeting too much is a put off again for the interviewers. And 26% applicants get rejected on the basis of this point. 21% of interviewers will reject candidates who give a weak handshake. So you're not ready to give a handshake, you just touched and you leave loose. So that doesn't talk. That shows that probably you are not adjustable, you're not accepting the other person. As in, a handshake, some people give too much of importance than it is actually supposed to have. But that's how it is in an interview. Because it definitely, some people have that, they have their own conditions and criterion to judge people. And this is one of the points that people judge you badly at. If you don't give a good handshake or a weak handshake, or you don't handshake at all, they would reject you at the first go itself. अरे कमरे में आया तो हाथ भी नहीं मिलाया. It's like, अरे मेरे घर में आया मुझे ही नहीं मिले, मुझसे ही सलाम नहीं किया. You did not greet me only. So it's that kind of a feeling that some interviewers take it as a rejection from the uh, interviewee, sorry. 39% of interviewers are put off if a candidate fails to smile. So, as I said, entering the room, before you have an eye contact, before you have a handshake, there is a distance that you need to cover between the door and the table, the desk, where you're going to sit for an interview. That particular passage, you need to, create that warm feeling between you and the interviewer by giving a smile and walking in confidently with a smile. When you do that, it talks, yes, bande mein dam hai, kuch to hai. The moment you walk in with a nice and warm smile, that itself has caused and created a very good first impression. The handshake and the eye contact, that being the next. All right. And of course, after that, what you talk and how you present yourself is definitely going to be the next. Can we go to the next slide, please? There are certain do's and don'ts, very strong ones. Okay. Now, you can't be carrying. Now, do's, the green ones are do's and the red ones are don'ts. So the green ones, carry one item only. You carry a handbag as well as a shoulder bag, as well as a briefcase or a laptop bag, or more than one or two things. It doesn't give a very good impression. It looks like you are a beast of burden. So you're totally burdening yourself and going in. ऐसे लग नहीं रहा है आप इंटरव्यू देने जा रहे हैं, ऐसे लग रहा है किसी ने आपको हमाली के लिए भेजा है. तो kind of carry your labor load with you. So please do not do that. If you're going for an interview, you carry only the necessary things, maybe just a file folder or a laptop bag, which will have the file folder inside. You just remove the resume and hand it over to the interviewer. And nothing really much except a notepad and a pen, because if required, you can make notes during the interview, and if it is really important and feasible as well. Because if the person is not the kind who would appreciate you writing things when they're talking to you, avoid that. But if it is required, then you might as well write your notes and make your notes. carry one item only, a combination of bags, briefcases, and coat make you seem disorganized. So it makes you feel like a burden of beast, as I said. Beast of burden, sorry. How shoes count. Many employers say the last thing they remember is the back of a candidate's shoe. So shoes do count. It's not that they do not look at your shoes, so you can wear anything, you can wear any color, you can wear any kind. No, make sure that it's matching your outfit, or at least take a generic color, a black or a brown or a blue, this thing, gray shade, which goes generally on everything. Now, as a lady, I have always preferred carrying a handbag which is black or a gray or a tan brown color, and wearing a shoe or a footwear or a sandal which is brown, black, or gray. I generally don't wear matching sandals like red color on a red dress or something like that. I would have rather a standard bag and a shoe, even a hairband, rubber band. If you see right now, also, I'm wearing a blue dress, a white dupatta, but my rubber band I'm wearing is black. So I wear these kind of accessories. Generally, I prefer things now. The frame of the my specs is also black. Now, instead of taking a full black, I've taken a red because it looks a little presentable, but otherwise it's a standard color in the front. So when you're taking these kind of things, when you're wearing a watch as well, don't wear a very jazzy and a very showy kind of a thing, a colorful or a dashed thing, which is catching up undue attention. All right. So try to standardize and use generic colors when it comes to most of the things. All right. Now sit slightly angled. Now, if you see me, I'm not sitting like this and taking the, though my, being a speaker in a seminar, you're supposed to carry your posture very straight and right and good. But I'm trying to be closer to you all. So all the time I was with you all on the line, I was like this. I was bending forward. So my back is not like this, but I'm tilting like this and bending myself towards you all. This, according to body language, shows that you are interested in the opposite person who's talking to you. So you're talking to this person, you're not sitting away from that person, you're not going this way, you're not sitting like this, you're sitting towards them. That shows, even in a class, when a student is sitting like this, bending like this and sitting towards the teacher, it shows that the student is interested in that teacher's speech and the conversation. All right. So it gives a very positive and good impression. Sit at an angle instead of directly sitting straight or a bend against the person. All right. So be confident. To help convey poise and confidence, practice the power pose right before the interview. So power pose is nothing but how will you actually carry yourself? Okay. You stand in the mirror, you see yourself. If I'm standing like this, am I looking good? Am I standing like this? Am I looking good? So if I'm standing too stiff I start looking like a statue, or a bodybuilder, I don't do that. I bend a little, but not like this. So I don't slouch, but I don't become stiff like a bodybuilder, right? So you kind of, this is a poise, wherein you're comfortable as well as you are showing positivity. Not comfortable to an extent, okay, I'm very comfortable now. I will take my whole presentation like this. I will sit with a cushion behind me or a couch, and then I'll sit like this and take my presentation. No, that's not comfortable. Comfort as in you maintain your posture, yet you are comfortable. All right. So now we're coming to the points of don'ts. Smile nervously. Do not smile nervously. You're like, hasu ya nahi hasu. Smile karu ya nahi karu. Why? Smile doesn't cost money. Just smile. But then don't smile like I'm sorry to use the word again, psychopath, wherein you're smiling all the time and the opposite person feels, oh my God, what is wrong with this person? Is she normal? Is she normal in her top floor? Or has she lost her mind a bit, because she's just smiling. When I'm even talking a serious topic, she's smiling. So don't overdo it. But yes, why smile nervously? Why not smile wholeheartedly? When you give a smile, might as well do it very generously and very warmly. You make the person feel, yes, that's the kind of a smile you give. Not a plastic smile like, all right. So there are two different things. You need to understand, you need to draw a line. Overdoing something and underdoing something. Underdoing mein aata hai smiling nervously and carrying a plastic smile. Whereas overdoing is smiling all the time and making yourself being counted in probably a psycho case or something. So avoid both. You know, believe in mediocrity. All right. So purse your lips. Pursing your lips is like, you're just sitting like this, as if you don't want to talk. You're so nervous that you want to talk something, but you're scared that, oh my God, I may end up, making some mess if I open my mouth. So I better not open my mouth. I don't speak. So you're trying to hold something back. All right. That is what is the impression you create on the other person. Now, contract or expand, claim your space. Keep arms uncrossed. You never need to cross your arms and sit in front of anyone. This is the worst body language that you can convey anyone anything. Crossing your legs and crossing your hands actually says that you're not interested in what the person is going to talk to you. You're not interested in the person himself. You really don't want to sit in front of him. You're just sitting there for the sake of it. So never cross your arms and your legs. But at the same time, do not contract and expand all the time. कभी ऐसे हो गए, कभी ऐसे हो गए, कभी expand कर लिया, कभी ऐसे हो गए. No, do not do that. So just sit and limited जगह पे, थोड़ी सी जगह पे इतना, एक particular angle पे हिलते रहो. ऐसा भी नहीं कि आप ऐसे ही बैठे हो. But at the same time, do not take too much of liberty of going around the entire chair or the place. Touch your face and hair. Now, see, when we have something like itching us, we tend to do this, but you can't do this every now and then. Some people have this habit of doing this continuously, they'll keep doing this. Now, why? Why do you need to do that? And basically, when you're touching your face and mouth, especially, you are counted as trying to lie, because in body language, if you read a little things of a good body language book, the basics that come in a body language book is when you try to speak something like this, when you kind of cover your mouth or you talk like this, it shows that you're lying. If you want to catch a liar, you see them talk and you'll find them doing this. No, I told her, but she's not listening. Actually, he's not told her only. So he's telling this to you by covering his mouth because he's forgotten to tell her. It's not she who's forgotten, he's forgotten to tell her. You've told someone to convey something to, you've told you are A, you've told B person to convey something to the C person. Okay? But when the work is not done, you ask the B person, did you convey? And he's like covering his mouth and saying, I told her, but she's not listening to me. So basically, the B person is lying to you. It's not the C person who's wrong, but the B person. So touching your face, touching your hair, covering your mouth and talking, these are all signs of nervousness as well as of not being truthful, of being a liar. So avoid that. All right. Next slide, please. Next slide. How to answer common interview questions. Tell me about yourself. Now, this is a very common question and everybody keeps asking this. And every now and then, if you have 3 rounds, all 3 rounds will expect you to speak about yourself. Now, basically, you need to be a fan of your own self, first of all. Because when you're a fan of your own self, you'll never feel, overworked when somebody asks you about yourself like so many times. Don't be a flatterer and a bragger where you're only bragging about yourself all the time. Okay, अरे मैंने ये किया है, मैंने वो किया है, मैंने ऐसा किया वैसा. Don't talk too high and too much about yourself. But yes, make a few points which are making sense to the opposite person and talk to them about yourself. Be professional. Focus on one story to tell, not too many stories. Be concise. Concise means no beating around the bush, not talking in elaborate and long this thing, Okay. Now be specific. Specific to the point. No going, off the topic and coming back again and again. Rather, you can stick to the point and you can close the topic as crisp as possible. Connect your story to the position. Now, connecting your story to the position, this basically means you have worked in XYZ number of companies. Now, particularly you're applying for a post on this company. You need to talk about that A post and your experiences in the previous companies, in your previous life, that has helped you to become a better professional for that position. Now, I may have done as a college student, I was earning my finances independently. Now, while doing that, I have joined different industries. I have a whole lot of experience of different industries. But right now, when I'm being a seminar speaker, do I need to really talk to you about my culinary skills or my other, sales and marketing skills? Not required. What I need to display and what I need to talk about is my experience and my subject expertise in conveying my soft skills and my oratorship skills. So I'm being a good spokesperson. I'm clear in my speech. I'm simple and lucid in explaining something. You are understanding me well. That's all I need to know. And I need to share with you. So I need to connect my story with the current position, not with all the positions that I have taken care of in the past. All right. We'll go to the next slide, please. Top 10 interview questions. Rather than memorizing somebody else's ideas of good answer. Now, see, if I have to really give you examples, it's better for me to give examples from my own life. I give you 2 instances or 3 instances about my experiences and of interviews and things, rather than trying to memorize somebody else's experience and copy them out and try to speak out. Because anytime original is an original, you copy and you get into a muddle at times. In between, you may get stuck. In between, you may forget half of the story, and then you may be finding yourself in a fix. So do not get into that. It's always better to share your own ideas and good answers rather than memorizing somebody else's. It's much more useful to be able to think on your own and come up with your own responses. So your own responses and spontaneity is challenged and judged the moment you do that, instead of probably learning something, by hearting something, rote learning and coming for a interview or something. All right. So avoid that. Be genuine. Be in this particular thing. I would say keep it heart to heart rather than borrowing somebody else's stories. All right. So what do you know about this organization? Now, top 10 interview questions. The interviewer will definitely ask you once at least, what do you know about this organization? Or how did you come to know about our organization? If it's not a very popular organization, the first question they ask you is, how did you come across the name of our organization? Who mentioned to you, or how did you know in the market? Is it social media? Is it marketing messages, or what? Okay, so to be sure of what and where did you get this information. Why do you want this job? So obviously, why do you want this job is a very important thing, because you're going to stay with your job for 8 to 10 hours a day. So you might as well be in a job which is liked by you, which you're passionate about. So if you're not having, your passion doesn't lie in that job, there are short chances in a month or two or so, you may happen to leave that job and just quit. Correct? Even if it is the best salary, even if it is the best package and the incentives and everything, if you're really getting burnt out, your interest doesn't lie in that job, you will definitely leave the job and run away. So the organizers do not definitely want escapists and you know people who run away. They want people who are definitely passionate about their job. So you need to give a positive answer about that. Oh, I left XYZ career for this one because I'm very passionate about this job profile, or I'm a sociable person. I'm a very outspoken person. So I like job which is letting me meet new people, make new friends, see new places. I love traveling, so I love to see new places. I would love to meet new people and make friends. So you can probably say positive things about what you and why you like this job. So your passion, why does it lie in this job, is going to be clear to the interviewer when they ask you this question, and you come across very crisp and clear to them. Give an example of a situation where you didn't meet your goals or objectives. So give an example of a situation, as I just mentioned to you all. Now this point is kind of connecting to my interview with the CEO. So give an example of a situation where you didn't meet your goals or objective. So here, you need to take this question with a pinch of salt. You can't be outrightly honest if you've really badly muddled up, or else if you think the person, by now you've gauged that the person who's taking your interview is going to digest it, Then you can give the actual hardcore, honest experience and thought. Like supposing you muddled up in some way because of which you did not meet your goal. All right. So if you have muddled up and you think they are going to be able to digest that big mess that you may have made, then share it. Otherwise, you know, share it partly. Do not lie. Do not share it whole. See, what I'm saying is very, uh, very tricky. I'm saying do not lie, but I'm saying share the fact. I'm yet saying do not share the complete fact. Share it incomplete. Share it halfway. All right. If it's a big mess or a big muddle that you've made, show it a little smaller, or so the don't take it to a very high level of a different tangent or a different level altogether. So this question needs to be taken very diplomatically, uh, handled very diplomatically and answered very politically right. All right. So don't be very honest unless it is really appreciated. Honesty is not appreciated always. So be very sure about doing it very with a pinch of salt, as I said. Give an example of a situation where you faced conflict or difficult problems. Give an example of a situation where you faced conflict or difficult problems. You can probably say that when you were going through your learning curve, when you were facing some teething problems, these were the difficulties, but now I faced it so well. I have learned to handle it and cope up with it absolutely fantastically. So you can give the example and the conflict and the problem, but show yourself and portray yourself as a problem solver, as a resolver of issues, as a solutionist. So basically, you have learned from your mistake, you've learned from the problem how to resolve it rather than being in that problem and trapped. All right. So, where do you see yourself in 5 years? This is a very common question asked by most of the interviewers in every interview almost. Where do you see yourself in 5 years? Now, this question is basically asked to understand your dedication, as in how dedicated you are in a company, how much of commitment they can see or they can get from you in that company. Because if you say, oh, in next 5 years, I'm planning to join the next company, which is like giving me a better position if I have 2 years experience or a 4 years experience in your company. No, 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 no. Definitely no, no. Where do you see yourself in 5 years? They really want to see you in the same company in 4 or 5 levels higher. So they want to basically put words into your mouth saying that I want to see progress every few months. I want to climb the hierarchy to the next level every few months so that in 5 years, I'm probably 6 to 7 levels higher. That is what they are wanting to hear from you. Now, it depends on how you say this to them, how you convey this to them. All right. So, again, it's a very individualistic answer that you can give, but the core content of the answer should be that in next 5 years, I see myself in your company 6 or 7 levels higher. Okay, or probably I wish to be in your shoes. If the person is really not at very top-notch level, then you can say probably I want to see myself in your shoes, as in I want to be in your position, in your designation. What would your current manager say are your strengths and weaknesses? Now, this is again a very tricky question, but very commonly asked. And this makes any individual be very honest and speak openly. स्ट्रेंथ्स में तो हम अपनी ब्रैगिंग कर लेते हैं, थोड़ी बहुत बड़ाई मार लेते हैं, बट वीकनेस में वी एंड अप सेइंग दैट ओ आई एम अ शॉर्ट टेम्पर्ड पर्सन, oh somebody can trigger my anger this way, oh when I lose my temper I happen to throw things, I may throw tantrums around. So all these things, again, say the fact but not this much, maybe this much. Definitely don't lie. You are a short tempered person, you can say 1 out of 10 times I happen to lose my temper, but only when people take me to the extreme corners. So say it very positively कि मैंने कुछ नहीं किया, 10 बार मुझे गुस्सा दिलाओगे तो एक बार तो मुझे गुस्सा आएगा ना. You're extremely taking me to the corners 10 times, at least once I will repel. So put it in a little bit of diplomatic words rather than uh, being very outrightly innocent like a child. I would say कि मुझे बहुत गुस्सा आता है, बात बात में गुस्सा आ जाता है. Anyone triggers anything and I get angry. I start throwing up things. Oh, I lose my temper so badly, I leave my job spontaneously, and that's exactly the reason why I left my previous job. No. Nothing of that sort at all. So you better be very sure of what you're speaking in your strengths and weaknesses. It really matters a lot. Why should we give you this position? Now, very important question. Why should we give you this position? So basically, they're asking you, what is in it for me? As an employee, what value addition are you going to do in my company, in my department, to this position, or to the people around in your team? So you need to think from a bigger perspective and answer, why should we give you this position? It's not just for your sake, because I need a job right now very badly, or because I need a hike very badly. I'm working for 10,000, which is not sufficient for me to run my family. So I need this job because your job is giving me 20,000. No. They're basically asking you for a thing as into what value addition you're going to make, what difference that you're going to make being present in that office or that department or that team as a team leader, or to his own office if you are an assistant to him or a subordinate to him. All right. So you answer from that perspective, from a broader spectrum rather than a narrower umbrella of your own personal interest and motive behind doing that job or going for that interview. Is that clear? Can I have some people saying yes, no? Can I have some people giving me queries and questions so that I can answer? I'm really looking
Professor
forward.
Rumana, this session, once we end, so there are a few questions which the candidates have raised in the Q&A section. So I'll be reading out them. And we are already running out of time. I was just about to ask you whether we can conclude this.
Okay, we'll try to conclude it as soon as possible then. Give me one moment. Let me see how many slides are remaining now so that we can just quickly wind up. We will not go into very detailing then. All right. So give us example of when you faced with a big challenge. Now this big challenge and that difficult problem is a similar question which you can shape up accordingly. Do you like working in teams? This is definitely a clue to you, hinting at you, saying that, are you a team person or no? Are you a team builder? Are you a team person? Do you like to take orders, or do you like to only give orders and probably, not work in a team? So take it very positively. All right. Do you like working in teams? Yes, that question I've answered. What is the first thing you would change if you were to start working here? Now, this is a question which is a kind of a hint to you from the employer, stating that what value addition you're going to do. So in the first go itself, you cannot answer this. जब तक आप कोई सिस्टम में रहते नहीं हो, आपको वहाँ का पॉजिटिव नेगेटिव पता नहीं होता. So you are very at a toddler stage to answer this kind of a question in an interview. So you could rather answer in a diplomatic manner, saying that I need to understand the work culture and everything around being here, and then I may be able to answer this question in a better position. I'll be in a better position to answer this question, of course. So that will give you a safe mode to exit from this question, because it's a very tricky question. Sometimes it may backfire also. You may say, oh, I've heard this, bad about your company. I would like to change that first and foremost the moment I enter in. No. You're not coming there to make revolutions and changes, reforms. You're there as an employee, so you can do that in the long run, not right away. So please do not opine on this answer, on this question. Sir, next slide, please. It's prepare your stars. Prepare your stars. Now, STAAR is nothing but situation, task, action, and result. Now, understand what skills the company considers critical to success there, and write out stars. Basically, here again, what situation, what was the situation your previous employer faced? Okay, don't talk negative about your previous employer at all. Even if you had a very rough time with the previous employer and slapped him across his face, or he slapped you across your face, don't mention it ever in the new company that your previous employer was an arrogant person, or he did not know how to manage, or he did not know his task and work skills very well. No, never opine on that. Now, what tasks were involved in that situation? What tasks were involved? Yes, you can say that these were my profile and this was all that my job responsibilities were, and I used to take care of that. What action did you take? Now, what action did you take? If it was within your limits to do that, you've done it. Otherwise, you've gone ahead and inform the hierarchical manager, whoever's the top-notch manager, to take care of that thing. Because if it is not within your means to change things, you can probably change it to a positive thing by putting it across to the right person. What were the results of those actions? Of course, you would talk positive that yes, my results were very positive and it helped me and the employers well. Next slide, please. Top interview questions. Tell me something about yourself. What do you need to know about our company? This we've already done earlier. What do you know about the position you're applying for? What are your strengths and weaknesses? We've already done this. Now, questions you should ask. What do you like most about working for this company? Okay. Questions you should ask. You can ask the senior that what is your like about this company? What is the culture that you like the most? Okay. So it can be a little friendly or a casual kind of a question. Don't try to get into too much of nitty-gritties and fine detailing. It may again backfire. So be a little cautious when you question. How will I be evaluated during my first 3 months? Okay, yes, this is a very important question, and every employee has the right to ask this question. And this shows how far you're seeing yourself in the company. कि 3 महीने यहाँ से आगे मैं कहाँ हूँ, मैं किस पोजीशन पे हूँ, मेरी पोजीशन और मेरी डेजिग्नेशन या मेरा प्रमोशन क्या होगा? Am I on probation for the first 3 months? तो मेरा probation period 3 months है या 6 months है? So these kind of questions will help you to understand your position in that company. Why is this position vacant? This is again a question which is up to you. If you find the employer is friendly enough and digesting things, you can probably ask. Otherwise, you have no right to ask the employer, why is this position vacant? वो बोलेगा भाई मेरी मर्जी, अभी तक नहीं था ये पोजीशन खाली, अभी हुआ है कल, मैंने उसको निकाल दिया, या फिर I've just created this position, it was never existing. So maybe you can ask, maybe you can't. Okay. Why do you think job applicants choose to work here rather than your competitors? तो competitors के पास काम नहीं करते हैं, आपके पास क्यों करते हैं? So obviously this will show you why probably they have a very good, very handsome kind of incentive package, or family insurances, mediclaims, and other things which are helping the employee to earn much more than their salary. Sometimes if you see government jobs, you see a house given to you, you see medical facilities given to you. If it's a railway employee, you get free railway transports and tickets for your family and yourself, vacations also to your native and all. Plus, if you see BST drivers, they have certain benefits. So the other benefits are more probably. So you will understand what kind of why people are sticking to their company longer than the other companies. Maintain eye contact, answering tips, avoid saying fillers like basically no, actually, I meant to say no. These are fillers. Smile most of the time, not all the time. Be courteous and professional. Tell stories. Always cite examples from your previous work experience, the way I did just now today. Okay. Next slide, please. Never say this in an interview at all. This I have again covered up a bit. Your primary reason for job hunting is that your present boss, मतलब आपका जो previous boss था, वो बहुत racist था, बहुत sexist था, बहुत unfair था. He was very poor leader. He had bad leadership quality. ये सारी चीजें आपको नहीं बोलनी है, क्योंकि आप फिर किसी लीडर के सामने बैठे हो, वो बोलेगा कि आज अपने previous employer के बारे में ऐसा बोल रहे हो, कल जाके मेरे बारे में किसी और को बोलोगे. So thank you, bye bye. I don't need you as an employee. So please do not do that mistakenly also. This job is just one of the several for which you are applying and not your first choice going into the interview. आप अगर किसी के पास जाते हो और बोलते हो मैंने तो और 4 जगह लगाया है, इंटरव्यू दिया है, देखते हैं आपकी कंपनी में भी एक है, आपकी कंपनी में लग गया तो दूसरी जगह नहीं लूंगा, अदरवाइज कहीं और अच्छा मिल गया तो we will be able to I'll be taking up that job. Never, never, never say that. Always give the value to the company that you've come for an interview. Okay, you are one of the most valuable companies that I'm, looking forward to working with. So never show them, even if you applied at 10 different places, don't even mention that. You have an inside contact relative जिसने मुझे बहुत अंदर की इन्फॉर्मेशन दी, मेरा भाई यहाँ पे काम करता है, आपको पता नहीं है, तो मेरे को सब कुछ बताता है, एवरीथिंग आई नो अबाउट योर कंपनी इन एंड आउट. नो 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 नो, नेवर. अंदर की इन्फॉर्मेशन मिली है मुझे, कोई एम्प्लॉई है, रिलेटिव है, मेरा फ्रेंड, never to mention all those things at all in an interview. Never, never, never. Next slide, please. The biggest mistake made at interview. The biggest mistakes made at interview, having no questions. हमारे पास क्वेश्चन ही नहीं होता कि हम क्या पूछें. टेक्स्ट बुक आंसर्स होते हैं कि हमने रट रटा के आए हैं कहीं से. Being arrogant, which I was a little bit that time. I was like 7-8 जन रोज बार बार एक ही चीज पूछ रहे हैं. Tell me something about yourself. So I'm like, okay, I'll say something about myself. So I started with an okay. That doesn't talk good. So being arrogant is not what interviewers would take it on their face. Turning up late, not welcomed at all. Being unprepared, इंटरव्यू में जा रहे हो और बोल रहे हो अरे मैंने कुछ तैयारी नहीं की है, मेरा रिज्यूमे ही तैयार नहीं है. नॉट एट ऑल द नाइस थिंग टू डू. और डूइंग नो रिसर्च, कंपनी के बारे में रिसर्च किए बिना जाना नहीं है. इंटरव्यू के लिए जाने से पहले कंपनी रिसर्च करना जरूरी है, फॉर श्योर. नेक्स्ट स्लाइड प्लीज. आस्क द फॉलोइंग क्वेश्चंस. अगर आप फोन पे पहले ही पूछ के जा रहे हो तो प्लीज आस्क दीज क्वेश्चंस एंड गो. कि ड्रेस कोड क्या है, whether they want it semi formal or formal. Semi formal में शर्ट, टाई, पैंट is okay. Formal बोला completely तो maybe a blazer coat and a tie is a must. Okay. Time, location, name of the interviewer. इंटरव्यूअर का नाम जानना जरूरी है ना कि क्यों, कौन ले रहा है, सीईओ ले रहा है कि एडमिन मैनेजर ले रहा है या एचआर मैनेजर ले रहा है. नेम ऑफ द इंटरव्यूअर इज इंपॉर्टेंट. फॉर ओवरसीज इंटरव्यूज इंडियन स्टैंडर्ड टाइम पूछना जरूरी है. अगर आप को कोई बोलता है 5 बजे इंटरव्यू आपका, तो वो शायद हो सकता है दुबई टाइम से बोल रहा हो और आप यहाँ के 5 बजे बैठे रहोगे इंटरव्यू देने. सो यू नीड टू क्लैरिफाई दैट. रिसर्च कंपनी डिटेल्स वो करना ही है. स्टार्ट प्लानिंग योर रूट टू द इंटरव्यू साइट. एक दिन पहले जीपीएस देख लो, कितना पार्किंग है, कितना टाइम लगना है, ट्रैफिक टाइम में कितना लगेगा, फ्री टाइम में कितना लगेगा. बिकॉज अगर आप रात में जीपीएस देख रहे हो तो इट विल शो 20 मिनट्स. डे टाइम ट्रैफिक में वही टाइम 1 घंटा हो जाएगा. करेक्ट. और जब आप ड्राइव करके जा रहे हो, तो अगर आप ऑटो से नहीं जा रहे हो, पब्लिक ट्रांसपोर्ट से नहीं जा रहे हो, तो अपनी कार है या बाइक है, तो उसे पार्क करने कहाँ जाना पड़ेगा, बिल्डिंग कितनी गोल गोल घूमने के बाद ऊपर पहुंचाएगी आपको. क्योंकि समटाइम्स द पार्किंग लॉट्स आर सच सो कंफ्यूजिंग कि बाय द टाइम यू पार्क योर व्हीकल एंड रीच द इंटरव्यू रूम, इट टेक्स अबाउट 10 मिनट्स देयर इटसेल्फ. ओके. सो इंटरव्यू से 15-20 मिनट पहले पहुंचो. नेवर अराइव टू अर्ली ऑल्सो. आधा पौना घंटा नहीं पहले पहुंचना है. 15 to 20 मिनट्स इज ओके. यू कैन रीच बिफोर टाइम. उसके पहले फिर आप जाके थोड़ा सा कहीं फ्रेश अप ले लो, चाय पी लो, कैफेटेरिया है तो, या वॉशरूम में जाके थोड़ा सा ग्रूम अप कर लो. ओके. यूज कॉमन सेंस ड्यूरिंग द इंटरव्यू. टर्न ऑफ योर फोन कंप्लीटली. ऑलवेज टेक नोट्स ड्यूरिंग द इंटरव्यू. लुक कॉन्फिडेंट एंड काम. यूज 50-50 रूल्स. Listen 50%, talk 50%. That's exactly what I told you in the beginning of the class. Okay, I need an interactive class. It makes you feel stimulated. Even you will not get bored and sleepy, and nor will the interview of the speaker feel, okay, am I being conveyed or no? Am I clear or no? Be aware of your body language at all times. Focus on keeping eye contact. Use a firm handshake, okay, but reasonable one. Sit erect and lean slightly forward to show interest. Share your attention and engage when answering questions. So engage in answering questions कि आप सामने वाले का attention seek करके रखो. आप बात कर रहे हो और वो कहीं और भटक जाए ध्यान उसका, या वो कॉल लेने लगे या कुछ और करने लगे, and you're still talking. No. You need to show that importance for yourself also, that you're talking to the person, so the person needs to pay attention to you. The same thing goes both ways. End on a good note. Always thank the interviewer for their time. If you really want the job, tell the interviewer in no certain terms. Okay. कलेक्ट कार्ड्स फॉर एवरीवन. कार्ड्स जो अगर पैनल ऑफ जजेस बैठे हैं तो उनके कार्ड्स ले लो आप. और अगर आप कोई इंटरव्यू में फेल होते हो, अगर आप सिलेक्ट हो गए तो गुड, थैंक देम फॉर देयर टाइम एंड अटेंशन एंड एफर्ट. और अगर फेल होते हो तो आस्क देम फॉर अ फीडबैक. मेक योर थैंक यू emails or handwritten notes brief. If not selected, request for a feedback, areas where you can improve yourself or where you went wrong. So this will help you to become better in the next interview with the same company or probably other companies also. Next slide, please. This is the last slide we have, evaluation questions. This is basically this session increased my knowledge? What to expect and how to prepare for an interview? Did this session help you in any which ways? If it did, you need to mark it as A, B, C, D, E. A being the strongly agree, and E being I don't know whether this session will help me in future or not. Okay, so the presenter was well prepared or no? This session should be repeated in future semesters, yes or no? And what do we expect from expect and how to prepare for an interview? इस चीज में आपको prepare करने के लिए session में help किया या नहीं? And please do give a feedback about me, if, being a presenter, whether I was well prepared or not. Okay. Now next slide, which is basically a request that we have tried to make time for the future generations to come, to make this world a better place. And we request you as a community to please contribute in future a few hours with AMP or any other such organizations, or even individually, to make this place a little better when we leave, before we leave. So what God has given to us is His gift to us. We cannot give God back, but definitely what we can do is we can leave this world a little better when we leave, when we go, so that people are remembering us in fond memories. That is exactly what AMPs, all the AMPians strive at. So we want to give God and our community, human community, this gift of our time, our proficiency and efforts. Thank you so much. And I'm ready for your questions. I see certain questions are there.
Thank you very much, Dr. Rumana. Professor Rumana, I would now read out the questions. So there's Mr. Mohammad Asif Ali. If he's saying, if I'm unable to give answer of any question, then how do I overcome this?
It depends upon what question it is, Beta. Because if you are not prepared in a question academically, then it's a dangerous sign. But if it is about your personal things, you can always evade those questions by saying that it's a little too personal to share it at this point of time. So if they're asking you something very personal which you don't like to share or which you would not want to share, you can give a very polite and very, very polite answer. But if it is academically asked question, कि आपका जो job है, उस job से related कोई skill के बारे में question है, and you're not able to answer, then definitely it is an embarrassing thing. So you can just say sorry and say, I would definitely brush up my knowledge on this better in future whenever I come to you or before I join this job. So you can apologize for being ignorant about that knowledge and say that, yes, I will do my homework and come back. Okay? Does that help?
Thank you very much. Now there is another question from Shreya Ishar. Ma'am, can you give an example of how to answer the question, tell me about yourself?
Tell me about yourself. You will start with your name and your qualification. Okay, because that is exactly what the interviewer wants to know. They don't want to know about your Ramayana and Mahabharata of your family. How many siblings I have, how many parents, parents I have, or parents are, probably single or divorced or probably whatever. So they may not really be interested unless it is a personal interview round when they want to know your family background. So initially, when you're talking about yourself, you would talk about your name. Like for instance, if I have to talk about myself, hi, this is your trainer or your speaker, Rumana. My full name is Rumana Siddiqui. I'm a convent school girl. I belong to Gloria Convent, which is one of the most reputed schools of Bombay. And I come from RD National College, which is located in Bandra, which is again an esteemed institute to graduate from. And I have completed my MA, that's my post-graduation, from the Mumbai University. And my B.Ed I have done from SNDT Women's University. And I've completed my software engineering from Aptech, which is one of the most renowned technical institutes of its time when I had done my engineering. So this is how I would say about my academic qualification. Then I can go back to my experience or work experience in things that I have. I started my career at a very early age of about 10 years. And since then I have been into tutoring and teaching. And then slowly and gradually I went up to the level of sales and marketing. And then I saw myself as a front office in charge and receptionist. And I saw 5 levels of hierarchy before I could become a admin manager in the same company within a period of 18 months or 1.5 year. So within a 1.5 year, it was a very nice and learning phase of my life, wherein I graduated to 6 levels above my post or designation. So I remember those with very fond memories. So you can probably share something of this sort. You can make it up like a story rather than sounding like a monotonous BA यहाँ से किया, MA यहाँ से किया, school यहाँ से किया. You need to be talking a little floral language and sentences in a story form, so that the person is interested in listening to you rather than feeling अरे ये अभी अपना स्कूल का बताएगी, फिर ग्रेजुएशन कहाँ से किया बताएगी, फिर पोस्ट ग्रेजुएशन कहाँ से किया बताएगी. So instead of that, sound a little more interesting and catch hold of the attention of the interviewer. All right. All right.
Thank you very much, Professor Romana. There are a few more questions, but due to time constraint, we won't be able to read out over here. But definitely, we'll be mailing the questions to you so that the answers can be sent back to the participants
Sure.
personally.
Please,
And it was wonderful having you today, and it was a great learning experience. There are quite many takeaways, not only for the freshers but also for the experienced candidates who are looking to grow in their career. This will definitely help us a lot, and looking forward to your session in the coming months, if you are available in those time slots. And we would once again like to thank you that you have agreed to conduct this session at the last moment. It was wonderful having you.
Thank you so much. It's been completely my pleasure as well. It was mutual. I'm glad to have connected with the MP and the new, aspirant interviewees here. So I hope my points and my experiences shared here help you, apart from the presentation, wonderful presentation that we have from AMP. So glad to have you all here. Thank you for your presence, all the participants. I'm really thankful to you all. All the best for all your life, not just for the next interview. Take care. Thank you so much. Have a pleasant evening. Good
We will
night.
now end the session. Thank you very much.
Good night.